Time to talk about the struggles of the silent heroes in our communities. These people are, of course, carers. It is National Carers Week, but ironically, these people need more care from us. Let's find out what we can do with River Knight. He's the co-founder of Developing Australian Communities, and he's online from Brisbane this morning. G'day, River.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Nice to have you on the show. National Carers Week, an important week to shine a spotlight on a problem that we probably don't think about enough.
It is. It's a great time to stop and just look at what's going on in our community. And, of course, Carers Australia do a fantastic job coordinating that. And in every state we have a carers organisation that just sort of coordinates, where do we find supports and how do we look after people that are informally supporting people, not really getting a lot of funding and often doing it quite tough.
Developing Australian Communities, River, you're the co-founder. What's your elevator pitch? What do you guys get up to?
What we do is we work all over Australia with about 18,000 disability service providers around, that National Disability Insurance Scheme work that they do, but also with all of the participants and carers. So we've got about 500,000 participants on NDIS, and then we've got 15% of the population, living with a disability, and people over 65, half of them are living with a disability. And then, of course, we have that informal carer group, which is basically what we use to say, people that are part of the family, loved ones, neighbours, people that are supporting someone because they're not able to access funded supports.
Gee, this new research is pretty revealing, River. It shows 1 in 3 Australians have cared for either a family member or friend. Did that number, when it first popped up, surprise you?
It's not very surprising in that there's so many people in our community that do need support, and our system is very much set up often in a crisis way. So until you get bad enough, you can't get funded support often. So you've kind of got to get to a threshold of being in a bad enough position before often the services open up. So before you get to that stage, we have a lot of people that support people in that carer role informally, and a lot of the time they just need, access and to know what's out there to help them keep going in that role, because once that breaks down, because they're not able to do it, it costs hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to support someone.
So, River, if I've found myself, as an accidental carer, because no one else was available or could or wanted to, is there government support for me?
There's not a lot for carers. So what we found with the National Disability Insurance Scheme, when that started, the funding went from service provider based to individual based. So the person themselves gets funded supports, which is great for most people. But what it does take away is it means that carers don't get funding directly. So the person gets funded supports, but the carer doesn't get a lot of support besides some of those Centrelink payments, which are not a lot. And we look at the reality of that in terms of what you'd call a false economy of saying, we don't want to spend a lot of money on it. But what happens is when that carer relationship breaks down because we don't nurture it, it actually costs us probably 10 to 20 times more.
Yeah, gee, it gets away quickly, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And what we found is at least a third of the people we surveyed really reported impacts on their own health and also impacts on their own personal lives. And we want to be able to support people because it's kind of that analogy of, fit the oxygen to yourself before you, in the plane, before you help the kids. And that's the thing. So if carers don't look after themselves and we don't look after them, they're not able to care for the person that they're looking after at home.
So, River, have you got ideas on how the government can improve its services, not only for carers but also for Aussies living with a disability?
So when Developing Australian Communities has really, gone to the service and the sector around Australia, the feedback that I always get is they need funded supports for that coordination that goes around. So, for example, grandparents caring for grandchildren is a huge program that gets a little bit of funding, and there's a lot of people that they just need someone to go, I just need a little bit of help here, I need a little bit of help there, where do I find services, what is out there? It's that coordinating frontline help that a lot of carers they miss, and they need to just stay on track to have someone that touches base and makes sure that they're okay, and also says to them, hey, there's things coming up that'll help you, or this little thing over here is helping you, because all of those things mixed together in a bit of a bag of tricks, it really helps carers. So it's that frontline support that we'd love the government to look at funding more of, because it saves them a lot of money in the long run.
I'm speaking to River Knight this morning, the co-founder of Developing Australian Communities. It is National Carers Week. River, what advice would you have for carers who are doing it tough, who are struggling? Is there somewhere they can turn to for information, for support?
So what we have a lot of information on our website and, of course, our Facebook group. So we tell everyone to pop onto dacommunities.com or look us up on Facebook for Developing Australian Communities. We try and share a lot of those programs that people are looking for. And then one of the things we've done in Victoria, of course, it's coming up in January, is we have this connection event at the Melbourne Convention Centre there in the city, where we have thousands of people, carers, people with disabilities coming together to find, those services. So we'll have hundreds of services there in January at our big Connection Expo, and we'll also have a whole heap of stuff for kids to do and people to do, so that it's a fun community event, because it's just that face-to-face connection that people really need the help with. So
that's coming up early next year, River?
That is. It's due to go ahead. It should be a fantastic event. And it's going to be, I guess, a chance for everyone to reconnect after such a long period of lockdown, just as things start to get back to a bit of a new normal.
Yeah, COVID normal. We keep hearing that term, but it's a very real thing. River, just before I let you go today, we've got a local webinar coming up in Ballarat this Friday. It's called Caring for Young Carers. They tell me the hilarious Cousin Tara will be hosting the event. It's from 11 Friday morning, and there's details at carersweek.com.au. So if you can't quite wait for that seminar coming up early next year, that might be an event for you. Well, River, it's been fascinating talking to you today. Thanks for the good fight for Carers Week. Keep it up, and we hope you get some results eventually from our friends in Canberra.
Thanks so much. And the young carers are a huge target population, so I hope everyone gets along to that event.
There's River Knight, the co-founder of Developing Australian Communities, on Ballarat Today.